HCE. I'd like to welcome you. It sounds like it's supposed to. Is it?
No.
Okay. Maybe I have to have it. I'm so short. I mean, maybe have to have it down more. No. And I would like to remind you all to please turn off your cell phones and your electronic devices. This forum is sponsored by the Rollmakers HCE as a community service to promote education by providing you with an opportunity to get to know the candidates and their positions on the issues. We are not endorsing any candidates. All candidates for the Nekoosa School Board and the Rome Town Board were invited to participate. Written questions were submitted by the public prior to the forum. They were reviewed and consolidated by our committee and have not been shared with the candidates. We appreciate those of you who took the time to submit questions. This was the biggest response that we have had, and we had to lump a bunch of things together for them. This was the exact wording of your question may not be asked, but we tried to address the topics that generated the most questions. Due to time constraints, we are unable to cover all questions. As far as the format, we follow the guidelines established by the League of Women Voters. Each candidate will have a 2-minute introduction. Questions will be directed to each candidate on a rotating basis, and each one will have up to 2 minutes to respond. There is a timekeeper right in front here who will let you know when there is 1 minute and then 30 seconds remaining, and of course, when time is up. This is not a debate, so there will be no rebuttals, and I'm asking each candidate to make your responses issue-oriented and not directed at any individual, especially another candidate. Each candidate will then have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Your responsibility as the audience is to use your speak your piece guidelines. They are up there, and listen respectfully to the candidates. We ask that there be no comments, attacks, or applause during the forum. And the school board candidates will be first, followed by a 10-minute break as we set up for the town board candidates. We respectfully ask the school board candidates to hang around for that 10-minute break and answer any of the personal questions that you might have. So I hope you take advantage of that. I know they had thought that they'd be able to do that. So we will introduce, we have Ann Lepak and Pat Rashesky and Jennifer Swenson. Darren Olson was unable to come tonight. And so we will have the opinions of 3 of the 4 candidates. You will be voting for 2 during this election, and there are 4 people running. So we will not be able, unfortunately, to hear Mr. Olson's opinions on these issues that you raised. So we will start with Ann Lepak, and you will each have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Hello, all, and I thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you about education and the importance of education. I've been a teacher for 28 years in the district. I'm now retired. And for me, Nekoosa School District was a wonderful district to work for. I saw how compassionate they were for students. And education just gets very, very difficult, especially because as a teacher, you may have 30 students in your classroom, and it's very difficult to make sure that you're reaching every student's abilities where they should be reached. And because you're limited in your time that you have. And all I can say is I think like what I would like to see done more in schools is from little on is when you have a classroom of students that teacher really centers in, if possible, where those strengths are for that student. And then let's go for the gusto and boost those strengths so that by the time they are in high school, they kind of have an idea. Yeah, I'm really good at this. These are the opportunities I have for a job, so that I can be out there being productive and making a good living.
Patrick?
Hi, my name is Pat Rashevsky. I've been on the school board for, I believe, 8 years now. This is my third term where I'm actually going to be up for election. I was originally appointed to fill in for Wayne Freeman when he passed away. I've been a lifelong resident of Nekoosa. I've lived in the same house for all of my life, all of my 67 years. I began volunteering. I began, with the school system. I began as a volunteer in the year 2000, just going in and tutoring kids, helping out wherever, doing whatever I could possibly do to, help the system, help with the kids. Before that, I coached third and fourth and fifth and sixth grade basketball before I even had kids of my own. It was always instilled in me, just help. That's the way I was raised. And as I look to the future of education, I look at it as you vote for school board and these local elections, because it's the one that you have the most control over, where you get to have a say. I mean, we vote for governor, we vote for president, and you walk away and that's pretty much it. You guys are it. You guys are part of it. And I'm a firm believer that they're your kids. And you should have control of that, not Madison or Washington. And therefore, do I feel I can make a difference? Yeah, I do. Because I want the control with the parents.
Well, first, thank you to all of you for attending tonight on this beautiful Thursday evening. I'm excited to be here. So I'm Jennifer Swenson. I am the proud parent of two 2022 Nekoosa High School graduates. If you're wondering about the two, they're twins, Brandon and Nathan. And really the reason I'm here is just watching them go through the K-12 system and the opportunities and the experiences that they had. I want to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of the opportunities they had continuing for all youth in our district. So my experience with students who have gone through the K-12s, I've had that, and my career experience in youth development is also what has brought me here today. I'm very passionate about education. I'm passionate about youth development. Just a little bit about myself and my experience in my career is I have a master's degree in education. I have a bachelor's degree in business communication with emphasis in human resources. And I have 22 years of youth development experience. 5 of those years working with the Girl Scouts of Woodland Council, if any of you remember them before they merged. And then the last 17 years working with the Wisconsin 4-H program, and that is through UW-Madison Division of Extension. So a few highlights from my experience that I think really would pertain to the Board of Education role. Again, those 22 years working with young people, providing programs, management and supervision experience. I have currently I serve 30 counties in the north for the Wisconsin 4-H program and supporting all of our staff there. Fiscal oversight, I was the department head for Adams County Extension Office, so doing the budget and being responsible for that. Leadership development for both youth and adults, conflict resolution, I've done lots of trainings on that, supporting and coaching staff. And currently I'm the lead for program quality in our state 4-H program. And what does the Wisconsin 4-H program look like? And are we providing a quality program? And that is my role, ensuring that we do that. So again, excited to be here and looking forward to the rest of the questions.
You must have
Timed that well.
All right. The first question, and Pat, you will be the first one to answer on this one. What do you think the 2 top issues facing the school district are, and how do you think the school board should address them?
Well, this year, we have to hire a new superintendent. That is going to be huge. We need to get this right, and we need to get it right on the first try. I look at that as job one right now, and we're right in that process moving forward. The other thing that I look at is I look at funding, and I look at our funding as being backwards. I mean, the state says, oh, you get 2/3 funding, when really Nekoosa does not get 2/3 funding. We get about 1/3 funding from the state. And along with that, and I don't mind that, but it's going to fall on us again. And we're probably going to be going toward a referendum again. I don't know if it will be, in the dollars that it were last time that we did it, but it will probably be, it will be a referendum for operations, an operational referendum. Another thing is, like, along with funding, is when you get money from the government, they tell you, you have to do this, you have to do that. And here again, that goes back to the control that I talked about in my opening statement. I don't think Madison should tell us how to run our schools, or Washington.
Gotta wait for the 3 beeps.
No, it's all good.
You ready?
Ready?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And I think that you're probably going to see all 3 of us build upon each other's, right? I mean, the top 2 issues that the school district is facing, of course, with Terry Whitmore's retirement. I mean, exactly what Pat said. That is a big decision. And that is, that's the person who is going to help lead our district. So super important issue. I think one of the pieces that I heard, just have been attending school board meetings, is really the communication piece. How do we create a culture of open communication between the board, between parents, families, teachers, and the community? And how do we do that during this process as well with hiring the superintendent? So that was a piece that came up. So I think that's super important. And how do we do that, right? And I think that's communication. How is it that we should be communicating with our stakeholders? How do we do that? How do we get the information out? Through this process of running for school board, so this is my first time, I've had a lot of conversations with people, and a lot of the questions they have, I think could be answered with possibly more questions from the board. And, I think the answers are out there. They're attending school board meetings. It's getting information out from the school district to families and communities and to the community. So I think those are a couple pieces that are super important. And I also think that one of the pieces to talk about is why so many of our young people and families are leaving our school district. I live in Saratoga, and the road that I live on, most of the families have gone elsewhere, that we have not been their school district of choice. How do we bring that back so we can be that school district of choice? And I think that is through communication, and that is through input, where families are coming to us to want to be in the Nekoosa school district versus leaving and going to other school districts around us, because we do have a great school district. Our family moved to Nekoosa purposefully so our kids would be able to go to a smaller school and have the opportunities that they did.
Thank you. Let's get her timer set here.
I'm ready.
Okay.
So it's really hard to boil this down just to 2 issues. I think education is such a conglomeration of so many issues that 2 issues really doesn't do justice. But I think for me, if I got elected as a school board member, I would like to see how I could promote more family involvement, more parent involvement, more community involvement, because you see, it's not just a school. You can't just run a school just based on the children attending your school. It's a whole bunch of stakeholders that need to be involved. And I think that's my top issue, is to make sure that we're doing the best that we possibly can to bring in colleges, to bring in tech schools, to bring in, even at young ages for these kids to see, like I said, we need to build on their strengths, because it's through their strengths that you can increase those weaknesses they have. Okay, and then those weaknesses become where, wow, I'm really just not that bad at this anymore. Okay, that's my top number one. And then two, I think, is always remembering to work as a team member. Let's compromise. Let's talk. Let's problem solve. How can we solve these situations that we're having in this district together?
You're good. You still got 20 seconds.
I'm good.
Okay, this is the second question, and Jennifer will be starting the answers. Curriculum decisions. Do you think teachers and parents should be included in curriculum decisions, such as, these were ones that were actually mentioned in the questions we got, sequential progression in reading and math, diversity, advanced classes, the arts, and alternative learning classes? And why or why not do you think that teachers and parents should be included in curriculum decisions on those things? Jennifer?
Thank you. I was just taking some notes. This is a great question. Curriculum is a extremely important part of our young people's education, and I absolutely think that teachers and parents should be included in those decisions. Teachers, they're the ones who know the subject matter. They went to school for this. They know what the students need. So absolutely talking with them, and I think, and parents as well. I know, for example, when the math curriculum changed in the middle school, I was a little hesitant, and they had an open forum where, as parents, so my husband Kevin and I went, and we were able to ask questions about the program and what was the curriculum going to look like. So yes, 100% teachers and parents should be included in those decisions. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about before with communication. Having that open and transparent communication with families to know and understand what is happening in their young people's lives is extremely important, and they should be a part of that. So I will pause there.
Okay. Okay, Anne?
Okay, so for curriculum for me as a teacher, and then as parents, I think students should also have some say-so in curriculum, okay, especially at the high school level, all right? Because depending upon what avenue they want to go into, whether it would be mechanics, whether it's going to be engineering, whether it's going to be an English teacher, whatever it may be, I think they should have a say-so, because they need to start being more independent. Because once they leave high school and they go on to school, it's up to them. No one's there to hold their hand, okay? But curriculum is key. And here's the thing that I think needs to be done more. We need to use our resources out in our community with retired people who have been in accounting, who have been in aeronautics, who have been in whatever field, and bring them in to work with these kids that are falling behind, okay? Because you can't have kids going to a next level in school without having their basics here, because then they get into a higher class, they have not a clue what's going on. So we need to do a better job of bringing in our resources so that these kids can build their confidence. A huge thing is confidence with these kids as to why they don't know their material. They feel like they don't, but you get to know the kids and they know it. It's just they're scared, okay? Maybe they've been told they don't know stuff. But I don't think we do a good enough job of using our resources, especially with our retired clientele, that could help these students and boost them up. And I'm all for different ways of learning, whether it's a charter school, whether it's an alternative ed, whether you have to have choices for kids, because not everybody fits in this round circle or this square box.
Okay.
Okay. Curriculum, yeah. Right now we are in what's called the PCL model, where the teachers kind of create their curriculum, and it's not like we're grabbing something out of a pre-planned thing and pulling it out and saying, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what you teach. It's more geared toward the individual. I've had being on the board, I have a little bit of an advantage because I get to sit in on classes. I get to go to and see what's going on. And I was at Humke last week, and I got to see how the teachers interacted and how these teachers worked this system and how they worked. And I came away very impressed. And then I got to see how they took some kids that were struggling and put them with the interventionists in a 2-on-1 scenario where they lifted these kids up that weren't quite where the other ones were at. And I came away impressed. They used technology, which, okay, that's my weak point. I'm not a very technical person. But another thing is, okay, and then I know the teachers over at the middle school because I spent the most time over there. I volunteered over there the most. And I went into the 6th grade math teacher's class the other day, and I looked at his whiteboard, and I tutor math. That's my main thing. And the stuff that he was teaching in 6th grade, I didn't get until I was in high school.
That's right.
And I'm thinking, wow, I can't imagine how some parents feel when their kids come home with this stuff and it's like, I need help. They're lost. What do they do? Going on to some of the other types of curriculum, the one thing that worries me the most is stuff that we get online. Because online curriculum can change with a click of the mouse. And you can get stuff into your curriculum that might not have been in there the week before. Because you're kind of at the mercy of who's providing that online stuff.
Okay, so this one we'll start with Anne again. What do you think can be done to improve the safety of the students and staff while they're in school? And how does the school district handle bullying and discrimination now? Is there a way of follow-up for the victims?
Wow.
Yep.
That's a tough question. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, bullying's gone ever since I was in school. There was bullying, but not to the extent maybe that it's done today just because of technology. I feel that somehow, some way, it is the teachers and the administration that needs to make those environments as conducive for learning for all students at all times. I feel that it is the teacher's responsibility that has those students in her classroom or his classroom that is observant and sees things that may be occurring and do something about it in a way that is appropriate, okay? Not to demean anybody, but that's where it starts. Ethically, as a teacher, it is your job to make sure all your students in your classroom feel comfortable in learning in that environment. And if not, why not? Why do we have a couple that don't feel comfortable? How can we change that within that classroom to make sure that all those students feel comfortable learning in that environment? It really boils down to the teacher, I feel.
Well, as far as overall safety, I mean, if you're talking about a shooter coming in or something like that, I mean, the schools are locked now. You know, they have to press in. You have to go in. You have to go into the office. They're talking about having it be, you know, where you have to actually pass through the office as you enter, and you know, you have to go through the like it used to be, kind of. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because you'd have to, you know, change the way the schools are built, or, you know, you'd have to be some renovations made. As far as bullying goes, that is a tough one, because I agree with Ann. Bullying's been going on forever. The only difference is now it follows you home. It used to be, you know, you could get bullied at school, and you'd go home and you'd be safe. But now you get bullied at school, and you get home and you turn your phone on and you get bullied right there. It follows you. That is a culture thing, and I don't think it's necessarily. I think the school is part of our culture, but it's also this is one of those things that we have to, as a culture, as a community, as a school district, step up and say, hey, you know what? We're not gonna deal with this. We're not gonna put up with this. I know in the schools they try and have the students work it out themselves with an adult present. I mean, they don't just say, okay, here, you know, fix this. There is some guidance there, and they're making strides in that area. I know when I started, I did a lot of expulsions, and I've done very few in the last 3 years. So we are making headways in that area.
Ready? Yep. Jennifer?
All right, thank you. This really is it's a great question. It's a big question. When our kids were in middle school, we ran into bullying, and it was a struggle. It was tears, not only on our kids' ends, but on my end, right? It was a lot of conversations with administration. Sometimes we probably weren't quite as nice as we could have been. But you're frustrated, right? When your kids come home and they're being bullied, and how do you work through that? So, you know, I think it's a few things. And not being on the board, like, I don't have all the ins and outs, and my kids have been out of school. Well, it'll be a year this year, right? But high school was great, and there, for them anyways, there wasn't a whole lot of bullying. But I know it's out there, and like Pat said, it doesn't just stop at the school door anymore. It follows them home. It's social media. It's a lot. We deal with that in the youth development programs that I've worked in. So how do we fix that? You know, it's definitely support for the teachers and providing professional development to them of what they can do, how they can do it, and, you know, ensuring that they have the tools and resources that they need to be able to address those situations when they're in the classroom. I also think it's, you know, it's maybe thinking a little bit outside of the box. Is there possibly like a social norms campaign that could be done of really focusing on the positive pieces that are happening? So, for example, you know, 85% of young people are not bullying. You know, I don't have those statistics, but focusing on those good pieces. But it really is something that needs to be addressed, and, you know, you don't want any young child, any young person to be bullied or feel that they're not safe in their school. So it's serious, and it needs to be addressed, and I think that does start with the teachers. It starts with administration, and really all of them working together as a team. As far as improving staff and student safety, you know, I'm all for that. So whatever we need to do in our schools to ensure that our kids are safe, I think that is something we need to look at.
Thank you. Okay. And let's see. This one Pat will start with, and this is the last question that we have, and then we will start your 2-minute closure, and we will be starting with Jennifer. So this one, as a board member, what qualifications will you be looking for in a new superintendent when Mr. Whitmore does leave? What qualifications are you going to be looking for?
I'd like another clone of Terry Whitmore. That'd be great, as far as I'm concerned. I would like someone who's not just going to sit in his office, who's not going to dictate. I mean, yes, I want him to be in charge. I would like to know that I can trust him, that when he says what he's, he means what he says, and he says what he means. Honesty, integrity, things that I look at and I know that I can work with this person. As a board, we have to be able to work as a team, and we have to hash things out. I have to be able to go into that superintendent and say, hey, this is, I can't tell him how to do the job, but we give him the guidelines with which to do it. If he steps out of those guidelines, then we as a board have to say, hey, you're not doing your job the way we intended it. You've stepped out of bounds. And they have to respect that. And if they don't respect the criticism, then we will have a problem at that point. All I know, and I'm just going to give this to, shout out to Terry because he is here. It's been a great run. I remember when he first hired and I was volunteering, he sought me out. He wanted to know what I was about, which blew me away. And his door is always open. So that's what I want. I want an open door.
Ready?
Okay. This is a hard question because I think, again, we're all going to build upon each other. So a lot of what Pat said, I too agree with. I think of someone who is a visionary, right? They can see that big picture of what could the district look like, and then being able to put those pieces into place. I think of someone who isn't going to put departments into silos. So like the teachers are in a silo, administration is in a silo. Like, we don't need silos. We need to work together. We need to work together as a team. The next superintendent, someone who is approachable. They're willing to listen. They get teachers together to hear, hey, how are things going? What can we improve on? Again, that team with the board. We need to all work together. We may not all see eye to eye with each other, and that's okay, right? We need to respect that. Someone who is trustworthy. I said the approachable piece, and really I think about communication is so important. Being able to communicate with our teachers, with our community, with our students, with our staff, and how that's done to be a transparent school district, and how do we do that? So yeah, and I know I've appreciated the times that I've met with Terry as well. His door has always been open, so the next superintendent that we have, having that open door, not only for administrators or staff or teachers, but for parents and families and community members to come into. So someone that can make that vision and put it into action.
Anne?
Okay, as far as superintendent, what a huge job. And I know Terry very well. I've worked with him now. He's been on board for 11 years. And yes, he was always available if need be. And I think being superintendent is super, super tough. It's very wearing mentally, physically. You're on the go 24/7. That's just the way it is. That superintendent puts in more hours than they'd ever get paid for. If you're that passionate about your job and what you're doing for all students. And Terry, that superintendent, I'd love to see that superintendent so passionate. They're about every single kid. No kid gets left out. That every kid has the same opportunity as any other kid. And sometimes I think, that's very difficult to do because it can't just be on the superintendent that does that. He needs to be able to collaborate with some of his stakeholders within the district to say, hey, this is how we can reach all these kids. It can't just be up to the superintendent because that's an incredibly huge job. But the qualities I would love to see in the superintendent, which I think Terry had many of them, is integrity, good communicator, and a great listener. Because with those three, a lot can get accomplished.
Okay, and now we're ready for closing statements. And as I said, Jennifer will start. Anything that you think wasn't covered that you want people to know, you have 2 minutes to tell them. Jennifer?
Okay, thank you. That's a lot to put in 2 minutes. So again, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity tonight. And I think that there definitely are things that we need to dig into in the Nekoosa School District, and I truly want to be a part of that. Like I said, my kids went through the district. They had a lot of opportunities, and could there be changes and could things be improved? Absolutely, right? There's always improvement that can be made. You know, and I understand that the school board's central job is to set specific goals and to ensure that those goals are met. And I know that I can do that and be a part of that. I do believe that we can become that school district of choice for families, that we have that open communication, that families stay in our district, that they're not going to other districts, and that's through the education we provide. And the questions tonight were fantastic. Curriculum is super important. How are behavior issues being handled? And those are really important pieces as well. So I just want to touch base on some of the priority areas that I have, and I want to make sure that I go through those. So the first one is empowering all students to succeed through their education, including in-school and after-school opportunities. I think those are super important. We have our education during the school day, which is amazing. We have clubs, we have athletics. These are all pieces that young people can participate in and help them thrive. It makes them the whole person. Creating that culture of open communication between the board, teachers, families, and the community, building that trust. I'm not sure where that trust is at right now. I'd have to have more conversations, but making sure that we have that. Being a steward of our taxpayer dollars, of course, making sure that we're fiscally responsible. And then lastly, ensuring that our youth have the opportunities and skills needed to succeed in their future. Just the AP classes, dual credit classes, the different early college credit programs, starting college now programs, I think are all very valuable to our young people, and ensuring that we promote that and we communicate that and continue to have those opportunities for our young people. And my time is up. Thank you.
Are you ready? Yes. Okay, Ann.
Okay, for me, something I didn't target on when it was asked about the bullying and this and that, I think a way to counteract some of that bullying is by educating your educators in the areas of poverty, of trauma, of mental health. These are areas that we assume people really know an awful lot about, but many of them don't. And I think when you can educate your educators in that area, they can build relationships. Relationship building in teaching and in education is huge. It is absolutely huge that you build great relationships with your students and with your colleagues and with those that you're working with out in the community. You know, go out and volunteer. Get your students to go out and volunteer. Volunteering is huge. Yeah, you don't get paid for it. But there may be a time in your life when you need help. So that volunteering goes very far. That's a skill I think all students should learn. And like I said, I think I would love, if I'm in the school board, be out in the schools now that I'm retired, be out in the schools, see what's going on. I want to support the teachers, the administrators, all those people that make up a school, food service, janitors. Be supportive of them. Bring in energy and enthusiasm so they're not getting burned out. Let them know they're doing a great job. Because I think many a times, yeah, we have Teacher Appreciation Day or Appreciation Week, whatever, but sometimes, you know, just that pat on the back, just to say, wow, you really touched that student, goes so far. And that's what I'd like to do.
Okay. I'm one of those people that sees the glass as half full and filling up and getting ready to overflow. I've been involved in the district, like I said, since the year 2000. And I just see it getting better all the time. Right now, Humke is in the 5th year of this PCL model. The other buildings have taken it on as well. And what it is, I just wanted to explain this a little bit more. What it is it's a way of teaching that passes on from building to building. And so the teachers are actually collaborating from the high school to the middle school. You know, they're going back and forth and they're saying, how are you making this work? What are you doing to make this work? As far as, you know, being a board member the last 8 years, it's like I have seen so much progress being made in so many areas. Our online or our virtual school, you know, it used to be we tapped it. I think it was 50 people we tapped. You know, we cut it off at it's 250 students this year from all over the state. You know, we got students doing our virtual school from Milwaukee and, you know, Stevens Point and Green Bay. It's great to see. I do like the idea of the different programs and the different things that are involved for all. I don't know. I'm an eternal optimist. I can't help it.
Wonderful. Okay, I would like to inform all of you that the Nekoosa School Board meetings are held on the second Wednesday of each month in the Nekoosa District Office at 6:30, and the public is always invited to those. Meetings are taped, and they can be viewed on the district website or viewed on Solaris Channel 3 and Charter Channel 985, and they are streamed on Wisconsin Rapids Community Access every Thursday at 1 until the next month's meeting takes place. So there's no reason to really not know what's going on in our school that we are supporting. Town of Rome is a huge supporter of the Nekoosa School District. In fact, the school board came to a town board meeting, and they plan to meet quarterly with the Rome Town Board. So that is an opportunity for you as well to be here for their presentations and to know what's going on and what our money is paying for in the schools in Nekoosa. So I would encourage you to do that. We made a few copies of this, of when the board meetings are, so if anybody wants to grab one, they're on the front table there. And so we are finished with the school board portion. If you would like to stay for a little bit of a break and mingle, if anybody has any personal questions or something, you may ask them at this time. They'll be walking
I'd just
around.
like to know, at the school board meetings, are